And then, yeah, this was the message. It makes my skin crawl. Oh my gosh. Can you tip off Liz or Dan? And can you see their thoughts? Betrayal! And by the way, yes! The select committee was not properly constituted anyways! Liz Cheney gets hit with a bar complaint filed by the people representing Stephen Passatino. Stephen Passatino is the gentleman who represented clavicle girl Cassidy Hutchinson until Liz Cheney came in and stole her and wrecked their attorney-client relationship. Now, the people who are filing this bar complaint, we talk about regularly here. America First Legal doing great work, bringing the pressure on these corrupt politicians. And so they've sent in a bar complaint. They say Liz Cheney violated her professional ethical obligations by secretly messaging Cassidy Hutchinson. And we've read through those before, but we'll see how they reincorporate themselves into this bar complaint because she was responsible for creating fake testimony that we all unfortunately got to hear. So here is what the bar complaint looks like. From America First Legal on behalf of Mr. Stephen Passatino, we're now submitting this bar complaint against Elizabeth Lynn Cheney, daughter of Dick, who became licensed in D.C. in December 1998. Now, they say a recent report by Barry Loudermilk and the Oversight Subcommittee says that Liz Cheney intentionally sent encrypted signal communications to Cassidy Hutchinson, who was a represented witness. Okay, she had a lawyer named Passatino who was trying to do a great job representing her against a corrupt government entity. It was not even legally constituted at the time, before the select committee. Now, as shown, the evidence indicates that former Representative Cheney, remember former because she lost badly in Wyoming. Our great friends in Wyoming threw her out on her booty by about 40 points. That was so great. You guys are awesome. Says that Miss Hutchinson was represented. When communicating with her, she had a lawyer and the subject of her testimony before the select committee. Liz Cheney was talking to her while she was represented. The subject of why she was represented. Now, tellingly, Mr. Passatino, the lawyer, did not authorize the communication between Liz, nor was it authorized under the law. And so Miss Cheney violated Rule 4.2 of the Rules of Professional Conduct, even in D.C., where there is no professional conduct. Now, Mr. Passatino, the lawyer, an experienced attorney with an impeccable record, has suffered tremendous damages because of this violation of Rule 4.2. It says you can't do this. The fact that this violation occurred while Cheney was serving in the House of Representatives, and so she can claim immunity and do whatever the hell she wants there, it does not excuse her conduct or excuse it beyond the reach of the DC bar. Yeah, maybe we can't prosecute her for a crime. She's got immunity, but she still has a license and she still acted in a way that was antithetical to proper conduct of a lawyer. And so accordingly, we ask that the DC bar investigate Miss Cheney's conduct. Here's why. Rule 4.2 of the Rules of Professional Conduct, they say, hey, Liz, a lawyer shall not communicate or cause another to communicate about the subject of the representation with a person known to be represented by another lawyer. Don't talk to them unless the lawyer has the prior consent of the lawyer representing the other person to do it, or if they're authorized by law or a court order, right? That's why you have a lawyer, so you don't get contacted by prosecutor hacks. So the commentary states, this rule applies even though the represented person initiates or consents to the communication, right? Doesn't matter if they started it. A lawyer must immediately terminate communication with the person if, after commencing communication, the lawyer learns that the person is one with whom communication is not permitted. Can't talk to them. Now, accordingly to a recently released report, here's the story. In the months prior to Cassidy Hutchinson's so-called explosive public and private testimony, Cheney, Liz, communicated with Hutchinson both directly and through an intermediary called Alyssa Farah Griffin on The View, another Spice Girl, while Hutchinson was represented by her attorney, Stephen. So again, in direct violation of the rule, which says don't do that. The report further stated that according to the text messages between Hutchinson and Griffin, Cheney agreed to communicate with Hutchinson through Griffin, which is an indicator that she was trying to skirt the rules. She's like, no, it's called bad faith. She had the intention to violate the rule and didn't want to get caught. However, it appears that Cheney knew that communicating with Hutchinson while Hutchinson was represented by an attorney without going through Hutchinson's lawyer would be unethical. Now, this This is evident by Griffin's text to Hutchinson that Cheney's one concern was so long as you have counsel, she can't really ethically talk to you without him. But she did anyway. Cheney's knowledge of the ethical prohibition on her communication is clear. There was a signal message that apparently somebody captured that was included in this new report. Remember, she said to Alyssa, "Hey, I know you're busy, but is there a chance you've touched base with anyone about what we talked about on Tuesday night?" Because Clavicle and Alyssa were talking about this. So Alyssa from The View says, "Hey, yeah, so I reached out to Liz. She agreed to keep our convo totally confidential because she can't talk to you because it's illegal. She said she really admires you and could tell you wanted the right thing from your testimony." Yeah, like a book deal. Her one concern was, so long as you have counsel, she can't really ethically talk to you without him. Busted. Guilty mind, right? She knew that this was not appropriate. She was doing it anyways. She was doing it right here through a third party. But what she suggests is a follow-up with you, with your lawyer, that she and Dan George can lead. Does that help? I can really tell she wants to work with you. And so I think here she's also ceding, like, you're going to have to get rid of your lawyer. Does that help at all? I can tell she really wants to work with you. Your lawyer's a problem, though. Now, I mean, do you think this is actually of interest to her? Like, is this something they've moved beyond? Oh, yeah, it's very much of interest. It's your testimony. It's the subject of the case. Liz Cheney wants it. Can you give it to her, please? The report further says that after the third transcribed interview, Hutchinson reached out to Cheney directly. Again, doesn't matter. Cheney should have said no. When Hutchinson texted Cheney, she was still represented by Pasatino. Cheney and Hutchinson communicated directly for days without Pasatino's knowledge. And as we read this last time, remember, Hutchinson was even reporting to Cheney what Pasatino was doing and saying. And Cheney should have alerted him to that immediately. Hey, your client is leaking. These facts are revealed by the below images from the committee's report. Here's what they published. Hey, to Liz Cheney. Hi, this is Cassidy. I'm sorry for reaching out this way, but I was hoping to have a private conversation with you. Liz says, yeah, hang tight. We'll call you shortly. Sorry, got stuck on another call, probably with Mark Milley getting their story straight. I would be happy to talk to you. Let me know what time works for you, says Liz. She says, well, I'm free all day for a call or in person, whichever you prefer. I really appreciate it, says Cassidy. So then Cheney calls. Cassidy misses it. She's scrolling Instagram, forgets about it. Oh, crap. Give me a call when's good for you. She says, is now okay? No. Can we aim for 1? Oh, that works. I'm sorry I missed you. Yeah, not a good idea to miss a call from Liz Cheney when you're trying to, like, get in with her. Please call when you have a moment. I'm worried to initiate the call in case you might be tied up in something. And then, yeah, this was the message. It makes my skin crawl. Oh my gosh. From Stefan Pasatino, Cassidy took a screenshot of her message with her lawyer and sent it to Liz Cheney. So the inner operations of what she's texting her lawyer, and the lawyer was like, hey, we got this. They can't subpoena you. They've got nothing. Leave them alone. They're illegal and morons. And so she says, well, I can't. I'm freaked out. I have to come. And he said, okay, well, are they going to subpoena? Have they come up? They have not, right? So he sends it to her. She sends it to Liz. It's Liz's mole inside to the case. It's like, oh, Cassidy, just the worst. Now, they say, look, our client's reputation and credibility were harmed by Cheney's untoward and unethical conduct. In fact, despite Cheney's actions stimulating 2 unfounded bar complaints against Mr. Pasatino, actual communications reflect that his conduct was always above board with his representation of Cassidy. Always. Here's several messages. Alyssa says, okay, so that was blank Liz's direction. How do you feel about just doing it with Stefan, your lawyer, but answering more questions? You can handle yourself, and he's just there as a figurehead. And Cassidy says, and basically give an ultimatum of A, we'll come back, but we need assurance that we won't be called in live, which I don't think they'll give, or if you won't give us an assurance, you'll have to reissue a subpoena. She says, well, Stefan's not against me complying. He's actually sort of willing to do it because he thinks it builds my credibility as a witness. He wants just enough from the committee to balance out the public backlash from the lawsuit and to frame me as being compliant and respectful of congressional subpoenas, right? Which sounds like good representation. Not even necessarily helpful for Trump. Like, a lot of that could be bad for Trump. Like, the public backlash might come from the Trumpers who say, I can't believe you're complying with the committee. Like, you're dead to us, right? Or whatever. Yeah, man, it's a tightrope. I'm trying. So he's not even like thinking about what is best for Trump. He's trying to do what's best for his client, which is the right move. He's her lawyer. So he's going to call Dan George this afternoon. Can you tip off Liz or Dan? And can you see their thoughts? Betrayal! I'm personally fine with just Liz and Dan, but I have a feeling he'll want it structurally the same as my other depots, but I haven't gotten that far with him. Does this make sense? Yeah, that all makes sense. I actually agree, says Alyssa, with Stefan's approach, and think it accomplishes everyone's goals. I'm happy to tip Liz off. And for what it's worth, I don't think you are as close to the front in line declined to testify live, but it might be worth asking for the commitment. My guess is Stephen cares about protecting Trump. You just said you agreed with him. I wonder if Liz is over there. No, say this. Your issues were more with Meadows and folks around him, and you were simply being a hoet. I mean, honest. Yeah, exactly. She says, my lawyer doesn't want me to stonewall the committee now over this. I think he wants to balance the perception in the Trump world, whether I go back voluntarily or under subpoena. But he's probably going to be a bit less friendly to the DG when he talks to him. He probably won't outright tell him to resubpoena me. So it may be helpful for DG to throw in, if they do that, quote, well, if you don't voluntarily come in, we'll reissue a subpoena, right? So now she's giving them advice on what to basically come back to her lawyer with. Now, accordingly, the report definitively establishes that Cheney's conduct and going through Alyssa violated all of this. Cheney clearly knew that she was communicating with a represented party. The communications were directly related to the subject of the lawyer's representation, which of course was J6, and Pasatino did not authorize this communication. We're not authorized by the law to do it. Now, this also violated another rule. It's called misconduct. They say it's professional misconduct for a lawyer to violate the rules of professional conduct or to knowingly assist or induce another to do so. And that's exactly what Liz Cheney did. The text messages between Alyssa and Cassidy clearly established that by late April, Cheney knew in her heart, in her head, that it was unethical to talk to Hutchinson, but she did it anyways. She talked through Farrah Griffin and directly with Hutchinson herself. Therefore, through her own acts and through the acts of another, she also committed misconduct. Now, we know that she was in the House of Representatives at the time, but that doesn't excuse her at all. Saying the DC bar should take action. Yeah, there is the speech and debate clause, but that's not a defense to ethical misconduct. And by the way, yes! The select committee was not properly constituted anyways, and they lacked authority to act. I love it every time someone incorporates that because it's true. The whole committee is illegitimate. Now, the speech or debate privilege does not protect every former representative, every activity by her. Instead, it protects only acts that are integral to the House proceedings. The speech or debate privilege protects only purely legislative activities. And it doesn't prohibit inquiry into illegal conduct just because it's close to a legislative function. And so she's not protected by that. But moreover, the select committee had no authority in the first place. And so therefore, none of its acts are constitutionally protected, illegal. Saying the select committee's membership failed to comply with the appointment rules. The committee's authorizing resolution provided that the speaker shall appoint 13 members, 5 of whom who shall be appointed, shall, not may. It's not Nancy Pelosi's opportunity to make a decision. 5 members shall be appointed after consultation with the minority leader. At the time, that was Kev. We only had 2 Republicans on there, not 5. And those 2 were not picked by Kev. They were picked by Nancy. They were Kinzinger and Cheney. The select committee only had 9 members because Nancy refused to appoint the full 13, which means the entire thing was invalid. Additionally, H.R. 503 required vacancies on the select committee to be filled consistent with the procedures for selecting members, but she chose not to fill those vacancies, and she operated it with fewer members than was required. It needed 13, had 9. Now, the select committee also lacked a ranking minority member, inconsistent with its authorizing resolution. Instead, several months after it was constituted, the select committee then named Liz vice chair, whatever that means. The position of vice chair is fundamentally distinct. It's not a ranking minority member. It's not in the rules. And so it articulated some actions that can only be taken by the chair and how it must work in consultation with the ranking minority member. Congress passed all of this, and the select committee could have been granted unilateral authority to issue subpoenas without consulting the ranking member of the minority party. There was no minority party, so they couldn't appoint Liz the ranking member of the minority party. H.R. 503 required that the chairman consult with the ranking minority member before issuing subpoenas, and they never did that because there was no ranking minority member. Section 56B of H.R. 503, the constituting document, stated that the deposition authority is governed by the procedures submitted by the chair on the rules for printing. Under the House rules, the chairman is required to consult with the ranking minority member, which didn't exist. Okay, so functionally, the committee couldn't even function because it wasn't properly constituted. That's why it matters. The regulations explain that consultation with the ranking minority member shall include 3 days' notice. Ranking minority member, there wasn't one because they lacked a minority member, and the process of conducting a deposition required consulting that member. It was flawed in its composition and operations. It was also impossible, since since they did not have a ranking minority member, to comply with the deposition regulations. Cheney's appointment as Republican vice chair did not cure this. Vice chair is common and well understood rule, a title under the rules. And Congress stated that a member of the majority party shall be designated by the chair as vice chair. Now, the reason for this is if the chair is not present, then the vice chair shall preside. And they use this as a junior position. Now, Benny Thompson selected Liz, and he initially offered it to Raskin at first. It was a fellow Democrat, but Raskin declined so that Liz could be appointed. Like, we can't have two Democrats up here, so we'll just have a fake Democrat called Liz Cheney. Representative Cheney then fulfilled the traditional vice chair role, and she functioned as a member of the majority party, but she did not satisfy the requirement for being a minority member. It was so fake. And this is a great filing, by the way. By virtue of being the first minority party member, they said that she was the minority party member, and the Democrats relied on House Resolution 10 to justify interpreting the term ranking minority member. So they said, well, that's kind of her. While ranking minority members are the first minority members appointed to standing committees, ranking minority members must be selected by the minority and not blocked by the majority. And there was no minority. So the DC bar should take this because this is unreasonable, and it's also impugning the lawyer's reputation. Mr. Pasatino, who represented Cassidy, did a great job, and she was backstabbing him at every turn. We ask that the DC bar investigate Cheney. This has had significant consequences for Mr. Pasatino. Now, in the context of the allegations stemming from his representation of Clavicle before the J6 committee, Pasatino sued special counsel Mueller and prosecutor Andrew Weissman because Weissman made a defamatory post about him where he said that Pasatino coached Cassidy to lie. Now they say, no, you're a duly licensed lawyer, you're a former prosecutor, former DOJ person, so that's not just mere opinion, and that case is moving forward. On September 26, they denied Weissman's motion to dismiss, so that's moving forward. Andrew Weissman probably over at Jen Psaki in their sweatpants crying on each other's shoulders about the future of America. The relevant witness was former White House staffer Cassidy Hutchinson, Mr. Pasatino's client. She testified to the committee, I want to make this clear. Pasatino never told me to lie. And so Pasatino alleges that Weissman's posts deeply damaged his 30-year reputation, caused him to lose significant business and income. And prior to the allegations surrounding his representation of Clavicle, Pasatino had never been accused by a client or anyone else of any unethical or illegal behavior. Now, the district court in DC found that Weissman's defamatory statement was not subjective opinion, but was a statement portrayed as fact. And so he's in trouble too. And so Liz Cheney is rigging this testimony, which is unbecoming and unethical conduct for a lawyer to do. And so signed by Gene Hamilton. Shout out to Gene Hamilton, the executive director and general counsel for America First Legal. A delicious bar complaint to be filing. Now, they know why they did this, because they had to flip Cassidy to make her a star witness because their charade was falling flat. Everybody could see it, and it was not working out for them. So Liz Cheney became the star of the January 6th proceedings, and the Democrats are now spreading her all over the place to apparently win some votes. But guys like Jon Stewart are having a tough time with this.
The Cheney thing, do we really have to do that?
Yeah, because that's all you got. I mean, who else is there? RFK Jr. is on Team Trump. Tulsi Gabbard's on Team Trump. A lot of people joining. Elon's on Team Trump. And the list goes on and on. So who from the middle is going and joining the left? Not many. It's basically Liz and like a couple actors from The Office.
It goes broader than that. Look, Bernie Sanders, Dick Cheney, Taylor Swift.
No.
That one. The shooting?
No.
Having the Cheneys on board?
Nah, you can't Dick Cheney or Taylor Swift. No. Did Taylor Swift get us to invade? No.
Yeah, but they're going to excuse it because they are trying to, I guess, win some independence over and make people think that Kamala is not a far out leftist. She's just a regular person like everybody. And I don't know why anybody thinks Liz Cheney is going to be attractive to those independents they're trying to win over, unless they're interested in more money for more foreign wars, which maybe they are. And so maybe Liz Cheney is perfect for Kamala. They'll go get some more money for Ukraine and everyone else.